What's going on, everybody? It's O-Rock here, and I'm back at you with yet another video for Ming Tech Media. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing the pre-incrementer and the post-incrementer operators, and I'm going to be doing that in Java. Now, I know that when I started learning programming, I had a million questions about a lot of things, and this was one of them. I used to see code that had pre-incrementers and post-incrementers, and I knew that they both incremented the value of a variable by 1, but I didn't know when to use them and what the difference was between the two. But have no fear, if you have those same questions, then I'm going to clear up a lot of that for you in this video. I'm going to try and include a lot of details, but I'll try and be as brief and concise as possible so that you get the most value from this video. All right, so without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into it, and I'm going to draw out a diagram and maybe even write some code so you can get a better understanding for how these operators work. Okay, so really quick, guys, I'm going to write out what the pre-incrementer looks like. So when you write 2+ symbols in front of a variable like this, see that right there is the pre-incrementer, right? There's the pre-incrementer, and then I++, that's the post-incrementer. Now, what this is saying is that for the pre-incrementer, what this is saying is that it's going to first take a value I and then increment it, and then do whatever operation, maybe assign it to a value or do whatever operation that you're specifying in a program. So this increments the value first, and this, all it does is it increments it after whatever operations you specified. Like if you want to assign it to a variable, it would first assign it to the variable, then increment this I. So this increments it after. Just put the ditto sign last. All right, so let's just say you have an I, right? You have an I, and then you set it to int I is equals to 2, right? And then you do something like maybe like system out.print. What do you think the value of that is going to be? It's going to be 2. Right? It's going to be 2 because right here, this is what you're doing. You're evaluating this print statement first, right? That's what you're doing. And then you're evaluating this after, or you're doing this operator after, which is incrementing the I. So you're telling the program to print this out. It's going to print out I because you have the post incrementer specified on it. But if you had the pre-incrementer, so you did the systems.out. So yeah, when you write the pre-incrementer in front of your variable, what this will evaluate to is 3. Why? Because this is going to be run first. So let me put that up there. This is first. Let me actually use a different color. All right, so this is first, right? And this is second. Whereas down here, this is run first, and this print statement is run second. So that's the difference between these print statements using the pre-incrementer and the post-incrementer. But they both increment the value by 1. Is just when they do that is the question and the actual difference between them. So really it all boils down to what you as a programmer, which behavior do you prefer, or which do you want to reflect in your program. All right, guys, so I'm back in my Eclipse workspace, and I have a small example for you guys just to run through it, so you can kind of understand this, and so I can really drive this point home. So I have a small program where I have a variable int I, and I set it equal to 5, and I have an int j, and I set it equal to 6, right? So I'm gonna show you how the post incrementer works. Really all that happens is you have a value and it's being used by whatever statement of code is being executed. So if you're assigning it to a variable, or you're printing, like in this case, whatever that current value of I is, it's going to, or whatever variable you set, it doesn't have to be I, whatever variable you have, the current value of that variable is going to be printed, used, or whatever. And then on the very next line is going to be incremented with that post incrementer, right? So that's why we have here in the console, you see where I post increment and I printed. You would think that on line 11 down here, it would print 6 down here, but that's not how the post incrementer works. Remember, it works by using that value first and then incrementing it in the next line. That's why on the very next line, in line 13, you have my print statement where it uses the variable after it's being incremented and it equals to 6. But if you come down here to the pre-incrementer, the value is 7 in both cases because it actually increments the value of the variable first before setting it to before assigning it to a variable, printing it, or whatever operation you're doing. Before the operation happens, it first increments the value. So like I said before, it really just depends on you as a programmer and what behavior you want to expect when you're running your programs. Because here on line 18, that J, that's being incremented to 7 immediately. So right here on the same line, on this line 18, it becomes 7, right? Whereas here on line 11, here, I don't know why I can't highlight, but on line 11, why is it not highlighting? That's weird. Whatever. But along line 11, you have the 5. It didn't increment. It just remained the 5 because on that line, it's just using the value of the current value of the I, and then the next line, it's going to print it. It's going to increment it. Sorry. But whereas with the J's and the pre-incrementer, it's just incremented immediately. So whether it's line 18 or line 19, that value is going to be 7, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I just wanted to really quickly show you how those two things work, the pre and the post incrementer. And if you find any value in my videos and they really help you out, I make videos for software engineers and people learning how to program so they can better their skills, pass technical interviews, and build really cool projects. So if that's of any interest to you, I encourage you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when I do make more content like this. All right, adios.